All right.
The way he did that.
What's that say? Cholesterol.
Okay, first thing we're going to do, excuse me, is a chemistry lesson.
What it sounds like. It's a live streaming. Oh yeah, listen to it.
Who here thinks cholesterol is good for them? Good, good. I like it. Good. Okay. Who here thinks cholesterol is bad for them? So we're done. Everybody gets what I wanted to talk about today. Actually, the reason this came up is, and I don't know if Karen put out the topics, the next topics that are coming up, but the reason I wanted to talk about this is one of the future topics that are coming up. Essentially, we need cholesterol, and we're going to talk about that, and how much we do need it, and how important it is, and how there's a study going on right now that too little cholesterol leads to Alzheimer's disease. Ooh, first time you heard that one, huh? All right, so again, why I wanted to talk about it was the influence that culture has on our nutrition, okay? And that's an upcoming topic, and as I went through it, what I realized is no one knows what cholesterol is.
Tell him to hold it up a little higher.
Who in this room feels they have a handle on what the cholesterol molecule does in their body? Oh, you're giving me another mic. Oh, you're telling me to hold the microphone up. I thought he had a question back there. I was going to say something. Sorry, guys. I'll scream. The reason, again, is I'm bringing this up is it's in our culture. Every moment of every day, cholesterol is being discussed. And what I realized when I was doing some research and just talking to some patients, no one even knows what it is. So that's why I thought the best way to approach today was give you the chemistry so you understand every cell in the body. And there's over billions. Does everybody understand? That's a B. Every cell in the body needs cholesterol. Does everybody follow me? So ultimately, it's very important. But no one even knows and understands it. So we're going to do the lesson first on what it is, how it works, why it works, and then ultimately we'll get into the good and bads of it and what things you need to do to protect yourself. Does that make sense? All right, I'm going to draw this ring just for those chemists in the room. Just to show you the molecule chemically. And this one's only a hexagon. Okay? And then there's a chain off of here. And what you want to understand is, someone turned me up, thank you.
I did, yeah.
It's a lipid. And what is lipid? Fat. Okay? And what's so special about the cholesterol, this is a big molecule, being fat. And that's where the beauty of the molecule you got to learn today. Okay, so we're going to draw. You guys didn't know I was an artist, right? After this, you still won't. You have to understand this for the concept. Okay? Cell wall. Okay? This is what's called a bilipid layer. So two fats. How do you want to think of it? Water, drop of oil in water. What do you see? A sphere. Right? That's how you want to think of fat. So there's two spheres on the outside of the cell that does what? Gatekeeper. Cholesterol doesn't let anything in. Okay, now what else is in the cell wall? Phospholipid for structure, fats, carbohydrates, and of course cholesterol. And what happens? The cell is regulated by the cholesterol molecule. Pretty important, don't you think? and it's in every cell in the body. And guess what? It's vitally important. 35% of the cholesterol is in your brain. It's vitally important for the nerves to work the way they do. Does everybody understand the concept? You have to appreciate this guy. And that's what I realized you didn't. And I didn't know you didn't until I read some of the material I read and some of the studies that they have out there where they just question people on what is the cholesterol molecule, what does it do, what's its function, why do we have it, okay? So understand the importance. And now we'll try to draw. Now we're going to show it like this. I don't know if I can do this. Sure I can, right? Now this is looking at the cell wall from on top to bottom. And in between, you'll see things like this. And this could be the protein. Okay? And then you'll see long things, carbohydrates are long. And this is all the concept. This is what's in the cell wall. And the carbohydrate, that's what I didn't put, protein. The protein, phospholipids, fats are the phospholipids, carbohydrates, and cholesterol. What the chemist in the room will understand about that is the cell wall has the 4 organic compounds, which are carbon, right? So we need fats, proteins. What do proteins have? Nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. And what's the beauty of the body? The body reuses everything. It reuses everything. So once it serves its purpose, where's it go? Liver, okay? And the liver repackages it and sends it out. And again, it's in every cell in the body, and it has real important function. In the brain, it regulates the synapse. What's a synapse? The chemical structure that enables you to communicate, to think, to interact, to talk, to do all the things you do. So everything you do with your brain, cholesterol controls. Does everybody follow me? It's an important substance in the body. And what we're going to learn by the end of the day is why there's a problem with it. But back to what it does. So its process or function, let's draw these proteins in the cell wall like this. The carbohydrates are bigger. And what do? They call lock and key. So if a substance is trying to get into the cell wall, how does it get in? Cholesterol lets it. How? Depending upon what it is. Okay? If it's a medicine, then it's a protein receptor. And once they bind, there's room, molecule comes in the cell. Does everybody understand that? So the cholesterol molecule is the gatekeeper of all cells. Now, what you want to understand is head to toe. Eyes, and we'll put brain. Remember what I said, 35% of the cholesterol is in the brain. The eyes, it's called rhodopsin. What's rhodopsin? It's a chemical within the brain that enables us to see. What controls it? Cholesterol. Does everybody follow me? It has vital functions every moment of every day that it's providing. So you have to understand it's an important chemical. And so what we see is that the mechanism that we see, that we function with, I'll put higher function, cholesterol is very important. What else is it important with? We'll put the liver over here. You need 1 gram produced of cholesterol, and that's about what it produces per day. You have 35 grams stored within the body. And what's the average American take in today? 400 milligrams. See where the problem is? We're taking in excess. Okay? But let me finish up the function so you understand it. We'll get back to this one. Okay, we're going to draw, this is the stomach. Everybody like my stomach? Okay, here's the liver. And so we'll put the common bile duct comes down here, and we'll put a big D for duodenum. And then it goes into small intestine. Okay? What happens here is bile breaks up fat. And what happens? It gets reused by the liver. Does everybody see that concept, how it reuses it? Okay. What's in the bile? What's the bile made up of? Cholesterol. Does everybody follow me? So you can't metabolize without the cholesterol molecule. So it's essentially everywhere with a lot of different functions, and you need to understand that to understand why we're trying to do what we want to do with it. Okay, so other things, it's helpful in the immune system. All hormones start with the cholesterol molecule. Does everybody follow me? Vitamin D starts with the cholesterol molecule. Okay? So it is a catalyst, like it starts the reaction for so many things. And from the mevalonic acid that starts the process of building the cholesterol molecule, how many steps do you think are involved? And the reason I ask you the question is so you hear me tell you how many it is so you remember it. So how many steps involved from that mevalonic acid to that structure I showed you of cholesterol? 37 steps. You follow me? That's why I hated biochemistry. We had to know all the enzymes and all this. Oh, it was pain. That's why I'm not a chemist. But everybody understands the concept, okay? So what you have is the cholesterol molecules in every cell in the body, hormones, the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland is the size of the tip of your thumb. And what does it regulate in the body in terms of hormones? That and the pituitary gland, everything. How does it do it? The cholesterol molecule. Testosterone, estrogen, it's the cholesterol molecule that builds those. Everybody understand what I'm talking about? So the function of the body requires cholesterol. And that was why I wanted to spend some time giving you the concept so you have an understanding of what the molecule is, why it's so important, and what the function of the cholesterol molecule does in terms of it makes certain that nothing gets into the cells unless it lets it. And how does it do it? You know, it's called fission and fusion. You know, what happens is it can divide amongst itself, or it can get other single cells and coalesce together. What signals fission and fusion in the cell to let things in? The cholesterol molecule. So I understand the concept. All right, so now I beat that up enough. I hope you guys understand it. Now, what is the problem today? Projections. The excess cholesterol will cost the healthcare system in 2025 $30 billion. And I'm trying this approach now because, in essence, guys, it's our money. We all pay into it, and none of us are running Medicare. You know, as an independent physician, it seems like eons ago since doctors ran healthcare. You know, for me, it was my first trip onto the floor where I was used to walking onto the floor and the nurse brought me the charts and we sat at a table like this and I would sit down and she would sit down and we would literally go over every chart and every patient. And one day I walked on the floor and I said, oh, where's Mrs. Jones' chart? Oh, the case manager has it. I said, who the hell's the case manager? What's a case manager? Oh, that's the insurance company has somebody now that manages the case. So I knock on the door. Hi, how are you? Dr. Coppola. Oh, Dr. Coppola, you must be the PCP. I was like, what the hell? I mean, again, it's everything changes without us knowing. And we're in the midst of, if you haven't attended my talks, since January of 2021, Medicare is run by ACOs. accountable care organizations. It's where the doctor groups get together with Medicare to share risk. Does everybody follow me? You probably didn't know it. I didn't know it till my patients go to neighborhood hospitals. They're not hospitals. Does everybody follow me? So if you see on the building it says neighborhood hospital, it's not a hospital. They don't have an MRI. They don't have the capability of taking care of you if you're sick. You follow me? I'm telling you guys, this is important. Why am I bringing it up? Because I believe that the cultural changes and the things that we pay attention to take us away from what I just shared with you. Was that hard? Was it hard learning about the cholesterol molecule? Like, seriously. Like they get on to do jingles about everything. Why don't they have a commercial to tell people what I just told you for 30 seconds? Because it's simple to understand. We need the cholesterol. What is not understood, remember what I showed you? Your liver makes 1 gram a day. Your body stores 300 or 35 grams a day, and we eat almost 400 a day. And what does that add up to? And again, guys, I wasn't into the numbers until, again, back in the old days, you would sit and have, I'm talking a whole discussion with the nurse. I had a lot of patients. Sometimes we would talk for an hour before I even saw a patient because I'd have 15 patients there on the floor to talk about. But then you'd have what was called stand-up. And that's where all the nurses and the doctors got together, and you would talk about the patient. Oh, Mrs. Jones, she had her gallbladder out. She had her tubes pulled. She's doing good. She's moving her bowels. She ate breakfast. The surgeon said she can go home if it's okay with you. That would be a typical conversation. Now, Mrs. Jones has been in the hospital 1.5 days and 1 midnight. Does everybody understand that? That's a terminology today, guys. Length of stay is the most important issue today. And again, why am I telling you all this? When you see the number, hopefully it gets your attention. Now, what does that number equate to? Okay? And remember, guys, it's 2022. It's only 3 years away. Remember, we said it was everywhere. Stroke, Alzheimer's, heart disease, diabetes, peripheral vascular disease. Okay? The best way to avoid a stroke, most important, is family history. If it's in your family, you were dealt the gene somewhere along the line. So pay attention to the risk factors and get checked. Your daily routine regarding a stroke is important. You have to use your mind. You have to get blood to your brain. That's important to get blood to your brain every day. So can you exercise? That'll do it. Aromatherapy will do it. Listening to music will do it. There's many ways to get that blood up there, but you got to do it. Okay, those are ways that you can help eliminate the excess cholesterol if you do those kinds of things every day. Remember what we did. This is exercise. Remember I challenged the guys from the Sit and Be Fit, and the little 94-year-old lady beside me got me sweating in 10 minutes? I mean, it works. That's exercise. So it's definitely, you can do these things and burn off that cholesterol. You don't have to run a mile. You don't have to ride a bike. You don't have to swim. This can do it. But you got to do it. Okay, does everybody follow what I'm saying? So next thing here, that was the study I was telling you about. We'll put this as a nerve in the brain. The brain is 90% water, so this is saying we're surrounded by water. Now remember, for this signal to get from this nerve to this nerve, it's called a synapse. And what did we tell you? Cholesterol is the molecule. And what I tell you, we're finding lower levels of cholesterol in the body. There's a relationship. Is it proven? No. I don't want everybody walking out of here saying cholesterol causes Alzheimer's, but there's a theory that's being investigated that too little cholesterol in the brain has led to Alzheimer's and the plaque formation. So everybody follow me. Again, pay attention. Heart, what do we know about the heart? All blood vessels, right? There's 3 of them. The LAD, left anterior descending, the right coronary artery, and the circumflex. Those are the big ones. How do we keep those open and free of cholesterol? The one thing I didn't tell you was the calcium metabolism also is controlled by cholesterol. Why is that important? What builds up in the plaque? So it's all interrelated, guys. All interrelated. And again, I don't mind you eating the high cholesterol if that's what you want, but what do you have to do? You have to exercise. Have to. And you have to drink water. If you're not going to do that, you're going to be at risk for what we're going down through. And as long as you accept the risk, that's your business. If you accept the risk that you feel, all right, the 400 milligrams that the average American is taking in, and we only need technically 36 to have everything function. So how do we get that cholesterol down? And again, the talk coming up, they don't want it to come down. You follow me? Well, I saw, it's great. I don't know if you guys get the History Channel. What was the title? How the Burgers Built America. And it was the guy that ran McDonald's and the 2 guys that started Burger King. And it was wild how they went back and forth and how the Big Mac was made. The secretary named the Big Mac. But think about it. A little hamburger is all you need. The one they started with that was what, 15 cents or something? That's all you need. And the pickles and all that stuff that made it taste good, that's a sandwich. Now, double quarter pounder, right? That's a half a pound of hamburger. You don't need, that could feed 4, okay? But again, what happens when it's put in a commercial and all the wonderful people on TV are showing it, it gets into their minds, okay? And then my pet peeve now is I'll pull in, and I have daughters, right? So when a guy's driving down my driveway, I want to know who that guy is. Oh, Dad, that was DoorDash. What the hell is DoorDash? Well, now I find out. You can call McDonald's and all those places, and someone will bring it right to your house. And it amazes me what's being consumed. But we have to understand these 3 are big ones because they're life-threatening in such a way that, let's just say, game changers. It'll change your life. Now, what about diabetes and peripheral vascular disease related to the cholesterol molecule? If the cholesterol molecule is high and it affects the calcium metabolism and you get a buildup of calcium in the blood vessel, that's where the peripheral vascular disease comes. And with the diabetes, what happens is it hits the kidney. And I put these related to money, guys, just to get your attention. So what we're finding now, which is so sad, pre-1983, what happened in 1983? Fructose corn syrup became the sugar in America. Just like you guys didn't know the Accountable Care Organization started in 2021, I didn't know that in 1983, the Federal Food and Drug Administration allowed fructose corn syrup. And where was it? Sodas, candy. Is everybody with me? Beverages, all the things, the sugar stuff that the kids eat. So every product now went to fructose corn syrup. And what did we see? Pre-fructose corn syrup, diabetes in children, 8%, 6%, because sometimes genetically you get it. After 83, it hits 80% in the inner cities. And what happens? They're smoking, especially vaping, and that has metal in it. So they're running into kidney disease and dialysis before they're 21. Who takes care of dialysis patients? Medicare. Does everybody follow me? It's going to hit, guys. That number's coming. Oh, I erased it. Oh, there it is. That's here in 3 years. And that's why we have to change this. We have to get the understanding and the information, because maybe we worked hard. That's what they talk about. How is it that the diets that our grandparents had, they didn't have a problem? They worked from the time they got up till the time they went to bed. And they worked. I can remember watching my grandmother do dishes. There'd be 100 people at the farm every weekend. And they would do dishes for 100. I was like, get a dishwasher. Can't afford it. They shut the lights off, right? All the lights in the house were off. But the point still comes back to where we are. You need to understand this, because this cost is going into Medicare. These are happening to children. And the children are getting peripheral vascular disease, diabetes so bad, they're going on to dialysis before they're 21 years old. Okay, so everybody understands the financial impact is staggering. So we'll put 30B, and you guys understand that concept. And then we'll talk about, as we did already, we check off, I'm going to say you guys understand the physiology of the cholesterol molecule. Now, what do you do to change your habits? And this is the one that surprised me. Which has more effect on your cholesterol? A bowl of pasta or a normal portion red meat? Now, did I set that up that you got it, or did you guys understand the concept? Okay? And please don't forget, guys, when I grew up, if I went to my grandmother's house, within 10 minutes, there was a plate of spaghetti. I'm talking a full plate of spaghetti. And if you didn't eat the other one, she thought you were sick and wanted to give you a laxative. That's the way life was growing up. And again, that's how it was the culture. But we also worked. You were always working on the farm, always. You were doing something. But that was the routine culture that we adopted. We've lost let's just say exercise or activity. No one does activity anymore. And so what happens is we've promoted an increase in all the bad things that can lead to the elevated cholesterol. So how does a bowl of pasta increase the cholesterol? What happens is cholesterol is formed at the end. What's the precursor? One of the things that's a precursor, and that's why we check it, is a triglyceride. Has everybody heard the top term? What's tri? 3. What's glyceride? Sugar. So what happens? You eat that bowl of pasta, the liver doesn't need it, so what's it do with it? It sends it in to create the triglyceride. And in that process of forming the triglyceride, if there's excess triglyceride, that goes into a cholesterol molecule. Is there excess? Yeah, because we're not moving. No one's doing anything. And so everything builds up. And again, that's why I wanted to set it up in the beginning, so you see cholesterol is needed. It's a good chemical. It provides wonderful things for our body, including our immune system protection. Every hormone in the body needs it for us to regulate the function of our brain, to think, to talk, to reason, all the things we need. It's the cholesterol molecule. But the culture has created an excess of everything. And it's so difficult. My children's range from 25 to 31. And every one of them tell me, like, what do my little ones say? Chill, Dad. Get with it. Okay? Or I hate it. It's been a minute since you were my age, Dad. And then they tell you about these are just things that people do and you got to do it. And I keep pushing that you're not paying attention. It's happening to children. It's happening to young adults. We were all busy, so we didn't have that effect in our 20s, 30s, and 40s. But we're seeing strokes. We're seeing heart attacks. We're seeing memory troubles. All that stuff is real. So what do we want to do? I put this up here so everybody pays attention to what you're taking in. You need to pay attention to the fat content, and you need to pay attention to the carbohydrate. Does that mean stop all fats and stop all carbohydrates? Of course not. Does that mean go on? What are the ones I'm hearing now? Golo, and Moon, or Noom. I think that's one of them. And I listen to their, if I'm watching a football game, hey, how about those Steelers, huh? If I'm watching a football game, I think I saw 3 commercials an hour come on for those. So that's the big push now. But what does this still come back to? You know, it's what you yourself are thinking and why. And if right now what you're eating, what you're doing, you're happy with, know your numbers. Why do we get the numbers that we get? Total cholesterol, high-density lipoprotein cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, and triglycerides. All right, I've already told you, high level of triglycerides go right to the cholesterol molecule. What's the HDL and why is that considered a good one? Real simple to know, guys. Everything circulates through the bloodstream. HDL carries it to the liver to be used or reused. Remember what we said? All hormones, vitamin D, there's function to the cholesterol molecule. So the HDL travels around, grabs the cholesterol, takes it back, drops it off to the liver. Everybody understand? Is that a good or bad thing? That's a good thing because it's out of your bloodstream. What does the LDL do? LDL is like the streetcar. Come on board. So you just jump on and you ride around through the body. And what happens? How does that stickiness occur? Inflammation. I can't overemphasize inflammation. I have patients to this day don't want to quit because they don't understand the concept. It's 200 degrees that you're breathing in your mouth. That causes inflammation in your body every single time. That's what the problem with smoking is. The tar and nicotine affect the lung tissue, but the lung tissue is pretty good immune system. That heat that hits the back of the throat potentiates the inflammation, and that inflammation is what leads to the harm. Does everybody understand the concept? You have to recognize that the inflammation is very important. How do we protect ourselves from inflammation? Obviously, the things we think about, falls, arthritis, different things like that, that's impactful, but what really impacts us is reflux. What medication was the most prescribed last year? PPI, proton pump inhibitor, was the most prescribed medication in the world. Pretty remarkable, okay? How do you prevent it? Don't eat as much, eat more often, and what's the most important thing to prevent reflux? Posture. What does that mean? No slouching. Feet on the floor, backside against the back of the chair, and sit there. How long after you eat? 20 minutes. How many times should you chew your food? 32. You guys are laughing, but I'm telling you, this is the ticket, guys, because if you do all this stuff, your mouth starts to break down the food. So by the time it hits the stomach, less acid is produced. And if you stay sitting up like you are in the chair now for 20 minutes after you eat, no inflammation. You need to do that with every meal. Now, does a snack count for a meal? Yes. And what do most of us do? You know, walking back from the bathroom, oh, the wife made cookies. Oh, one won't hurt. But then what do? You lay down. What does that cookie do? Produces acid. What happens while you're laying down? Inflammation. Does everybody follow me? You have to pay. If you pay attention to the details of how your body works and you give it what it needs to work as well as it can, you'll be surprised at the difference you see in how it works for you. Now, does that mean that the ones I put up there, does that mean, I already moved it. Does that mean that the heart disease goes away, the risk for stroke goes away, peripheral? No. But you can change your day-to-day activity / habits for good health. And what's the timetable? If those 400 milligrams of cholesterol and the excess carbohydrates and fats you can cut down, then your body starts to use its own cholesterol and its own building blocks in the body. And what's important about that? It's important for those of you that have seen older patients lose weight. What happens? The body's going to get the protein. No matter what, your body's going to get the protein it needs. How? Takes your muscle. So if you don't eat, it doesn't care. It's going to take your muscle. That's how it takes its protein that it needs. That's how the body works. It's perfect. It functions. So what do you want to do? Instead of 400 milligrams of the average American taking in of the cholesterol, cut it back. Now, do you take it down to 100 tomorrow? Of course not. But if you're cognizant of what you're taking in, and again, burning off, that's the most important thing, guys, is burning it off. All right, now, what happens is you go to your doctor, you see your doctor, and your doctor says, your total cholesterol is 250, your HDL is 67, your LDL is 220, and your triglycerides are 300. This is a 48-year-old patient of mine that works at the prison downtown. And he consumes 3 sausage McMuffin with egg meals in the morning, and he washes that down with a Coca-Cola. When he gets to the office, he has 2 liters of Coke a day, and he usually has 2 double quarter pounders with fries for lunch. And when he goes home, he eats whatever he wants to eat. And then his favorite thing, and this was amazing, when he got it, he was so happy. He has a Lazy Boy that'll hold 12 beers. It's refrigerated, okay? And so he consumed the beer. And we talked about it. You know, diabetes is in your future, heart disease is in your future, all these things are in your future, unless you got to cut this out. You know, oh, doc, I've been doing it all my life, and he's got 5 kids. I mean, it's a good story, because what happened is he got rid of the Lazy Boy, he started riding the bike, he doesn't consume anything that's carbonated, which includes beer. If you hear a it's no good for you. Inflammation, remember that, inflammation. And this guy lost 56 pounds. He quit smoking. Everything is wonderful. And again, did it happen overnight? No, it probably took 5 years. But the process starts with, please think about this. Because if you think about it, then you'll pay attention. And what do I mean by pay attention? You know what you're putting past your lips. We all do. Everybody knows. And the ones that are reflexive, those are the hardest ones to get rid of. You know, the ones that you see everybody else doing it. And then what I find, I don't know if I told you guys, I have a daughter getting married in November and a son getting married in December. And my daughter that's not getting married was home making cookies. You know, all the Italian cookies were being made. And I passed up most of them. And my daughter says, Dad, you know, she doesn't want a fat dad to take her down the aisle. And I go, what? 25, Dad. You got to drop 25 before November 12th. And I laugh because they just made all the cookies, right? And as my hand's going, they're slapping me. But I got them. They all went to bed. I tasted a couple. But again, guys, back to understand that it is mind. The Noom and the Golo and some of the stuff I see with them, you have to get into your mind's eye, and not for what you want to look like outside, but what you got to do inside. And what you have to do inside, quit overworking the liver and cut that 400 milligrams down. And start now. Because again, do we need cholesterol? Yes. But a normal breakfast, lunch, and dinner provides it. What does that mean? There's cholesterol in milk. There's cholesterol in eggs. There's, you know, the cholesterol you can build from cereals. So the diet that we were all raised on will provide all you need. You know, but the size, they always say the size of the portion of meat should be the size of your wallet, right? And my kids, I tell them all this stuff all the time. So, of course, when the roast beef comes by, Dad, that's a mighty big wallet you have today. But, again, they pay attention to it. okay? And the key, if you pay attention, then you know, all right, I took a bigger portion than I needed to. I didn't need that second piece of cake, or I didn't need that third cookie. What do? Exercise, drink water, and do it right then. That's the best part of it. Because what happens? It takes 12 minutes to break down the glycogen in your muscle. What is glycogen? Glycogen is the storage form of glucose. How do you know that? You'll start breathing fast. Why is that? It's not because you're out, well, it might be because you're out of shape. But what happens is when you break down all the sugar, your body goes into what's called anaerobic metabolism. And when it goes into anaerobic metabolism, you build up lactic acid. How do you get rid of lactic acid? You pant. That's how you get rid of it. Okay? So what occurs is your body knows what to do. Just help it along the way. So for those of us that like to eat, as I do, you have to find a way, chew the food 32 times, make sure you have the time to sit. Because if you're rushing around, if you're doing fast food and driving while you're eating, and if you're in a hurry because you have to be someplace, so you grab what was supposed to be the meal on the plate and you're downing that as you're running to wherever you're going, that's the reflux, that's the inflammation, that messes up the whole process. So please pay attention to that. All right, so let me give you another general one that I see. I'll see a cholesterol of 280. I'll see an HDL of 104. I'll see an LDL of 130 and triglycerides of, say, 200. So what that tells me is this is an active person. HDL shows your activity level. If you are active, your HDL goes up, and that's what you want. So that's why exercise is good for you. And that HDL gets rid of the cholesterol by taking it to the liver, which is the proper place to dispose of it, so it's not running around through your blood vessels. The other thing at 130, when I first started, under 150 was okay for cholesterol. And a blood pressure up to 90 diastolic was okay. What does that mean when I first started? I've done it 33 years. 33 years ago, we didn't have the same information that we have now. Does everybody understand that? So now what they look at is, if you go to your cardiologist, they want that LDL under 100. Follow me? Why? Because spit it out. Statistics say with the LDL under 100, you lower your risk factor for heart attack. I like that. But don't forget, the cardiologist sees a lot of patients, and not all of them get to spend the time to get to know what you're eating, drinking, and all those different things that are going on in your life. So what I say is before, because they'll put you on a statin, if they see this, you're getting on Lipitor or one of those drugs. And are they wrong? No, they're not wrong. They're there to assess your heart and to tell you your risk for heart disease and heart attack. So are they wrong to tell you you need Lipitor that's at 130? Not at all. Do I do that? No. I give you a chance to make that better. And I'll buy time with your cardiologist. I'll talk to he or she to let him know, like, hey, I just saw Joe in the office, and he didn't pay attention. Halloween's coming up. He ate all the candy, and that's what happened with the blood test. So let's check it in 6 months. Let's see what he can do. Now, if 6 months later you're still there, then I'm going to tell you the reason that the cardiologist wants to do it to bring that risk down. But I'll also, depending upon your other health history, tell you the other ways to bring down the cholesterol without the statins, because what do the statins do? Remember I told you that mevalonic acid and the 37 steps to get the cholesterol? The Lipitor and all the statins, they block that HMG, the first enzyme, the catalyst in building the molecule. Is that good or bad? That's a bad number. What's the cardiologist's job? Protect you from a heart attack. So are they wrong by telling you to take the statin? No, because they know that'll bring that down and lower your risk. So they're doing their job. I'm trying to present it to you in a way that you can change your habits and bring it down yourself. Why? Not proven, but a lot of theory Excess medication can lead to inflammation. What's excess? Excess means I'm giving you, let's pick something. I'm giving you metformin for your blood sugar, 500 milligrams twice a day. You fall, you break your hip, you're back in your home, but your activity used to be multitasking, running around, never stopping, go, 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 go. Now you're sitting around. What happens? Your sugar goes down. Why? Because you're not metabolizing the metformin. Does everybody understand the concept? So you base it upon your activity. So what I do is, if I see this person with the 130 and they're not doing anything and they're just sitting around, then you give them the choice. I give you 6 months, change your diet, change your activity, let's repeat the number, so cardiologist doesn't have to put you on something. You fail, you're up to 135, he wants to put you on the medicine, so we talk about other ways to get the cholesterol down. But I can only buy you 3 months. So you get 9 months to get this stuff right with most cardiologists. Unless big family history, you're smoking, you're drinking, all the risk factors are there, then they beat me up and say, hey, doc, something happens. You know, we're going to be in trouble here. They get a heart attack. You know, this is a game changer. Let's at least start a low dose. So they'll put you on 10 milligrams or something. But everybody understands the concept. This is how it works in practice. No one's out to get you on these medications. But if these are the numbers that we see, this could be a risk. Now, what are the family history risks? Any heart disease at all, from hypertension to an aneurysm to bypass. What are your risk factors? Genetics, male, type A personality. What's type A personality? Type A personality is from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep, you're paying attention to an agenda that doesn't factor in what's around you. It's almost like tunnel vision. You know, my brother was a salesman, and sometimes you'd be talking to him, and you knew he wasn't listening because he was already thinking of the stops he had to make and where he had to go and what he had to do by what time. That's type A personality. Now, what do we know about type A personality? This is your blood vessel. Okay? It can do this, or it can do this. And what do my drawings demonstrate? Constrict and dilate. Which one do we prefer? Okay? So what happens when you have all that on your mind? It constricts. So what happens when it constricts? Pressure goes up. What happens in a constricted situation when pressure goes up? If there's inflammation, now the inflammation's everywhere. Does everybody understand? Garden hose. I turn it on, it may hit here. I squirt it, I can hit the clock. That's the concept. It's that simple, guys. It really, really is. So what do you have to do? Relieve your stress. How did my life change? My mother-in-law moved out of my house. You guys laugh. It was real. I mean, I didn't actually understand it until she moved out. And then it was so amazing how, is all I could say. But I have come to learn she was very instrumental with raising my daughters. You know, like when she was home all that time, my wife didn't tell me that that was the whole reason. You know, she said one Christmas, Mom's coming to visit for Christmas. Okay. A week later, the moving van pulled in. Okay. And then it was 7 years later when she moved out. And again, that's stress. And what you don't realize is the blood vessels like this all the time. And we all have stress. No one can go without stress. But 2 things about stress. Relaxation could be put in the bank. What does that mean? If you relax enough, when stress hits you, not as bad. Does everybody follow me? And I have proof of that. My grandfather was a character. But every day, from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, he took a nap. His whole life. Even at my wedding. I mean, that's just how he was. It's like, time to take a nap. Lessened his stress. He lived to 96 years old, and he had more bad habits than anybody ever knew. You know, so again, it's one of those things that we know stress has an impact. Now, what happens with that molecule getting smaller? Remember, we talked about the cholesterol. Travels through the bloodstream. And remember, the LDL is like a streetcar. So it's carrying this molecule. What do we know about the LDL molecule? It's sticky. Okay? So think of that fat. What's the best fat to think about? I don't like lamb when it gets cold. You want to have lamb for Easter? Then everybody get there on time, and I'll take it hot. If it's not hot, I don't want it. Because I see when I bring the dish out, like they make me clear, right? So as I take the dish out, that fat, it's like you can touch it with your fingers and your fingers stick together. So that's the concept you want to have in your mind, that when the blood vessel narrows down and the cholesterol LDL is traveling around, it's sticky. What happens with inflammation? The body tries to fight it off. It does so with, it's called a chemostatic relationship in the body, that the body tries to fend everything off. And how does it protect it? With thrombin. What is thrombin? A precursor to a clot. So what happens? If your immune system's good, you bust the clot up and the stickiness comes through and you build up plaque. If your immune system isn't that good, that stickiness causes a clot. And that's how you end up with the stroke or the heart attack. So what are we talking about? Stress and the high fat, which is the LDL cholesterol, can be a tough situation, guys. And that's why I emphasize it. Because I didn't realize I was down that path. Honestly, I didn't. That two things I didn't realize that I found out were real. My wife, I shouldn't laugh. It's tough. We had 6 children, and the first 2 boys were perfect. Third boy, she was different. First girl, like, she's Italian, I'm Italian. We used to yell and fight a lot. That was just part of life, right? Well, she throws stuff. Well, all of a sudden, she's throwing all my stuff around the house. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell's going on? Something's wrong, right? So it got so bad, and then one day I came home, and she had my son pinned up against the wall, okay? My son at the time was like, I don't know, 5 at the most. And I'm like, put him down. Do you know what that little beepity bleep did? And I'm thinking, what's wrong with you? Something's wrong. It's called postpartum depression. It's real. I didn't know it was real. That's like, these are the things that you find out over time. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. She got on some medication. Life was wonderful. But then what'd she do? She promised me 11 children. After 6, she said, that's enough. I'm depressed. All right, guys. Now, the key to all this is understanding good and bad cholesterol molecules. Your, what am I going to call it? Your daily routine. I was guilty just last week. The kids are all beating me up, telling me I have to lose weight. And I walked into the clinic, and as I went by, Dr. Jagiello, my partner, it was his birthday, okay? So I took a piece of cake, right? And it wasn't that big. So I go back, we have an office together, right? So I go back into the office, and there was this huge piece of cake in there. I shouldn't have ate both. I know I shouldn't. I should have ate that little one, but I ate both. And then I'm like writing stuff down to make sure that I remember stuff to talk today. And you think, like, why do we do what we do? You know, the overwhelming part of us that says, oh, it's right there. I should eat it. I don't want to take it back out to the kitchen. What the heck, right? You make a deal with your mind and you eat it. But of course, then what happens? Once you eat it, about 10, 15 minutes later, you think, like, why did I eat that? What's that cause? Stress. Does everybody follow me? Like, so then you find when you don't eat stuff, people say stuff to you. Dr. Coppola, are you sick? No. You didn't have any donuts today. I'm not hungry. Dr. Coppola, you didn't have a bagel today. Or even my wife, like, this was funny, her friend Bonnie. I walk in the house, and Bonnie's got all this stuff on, and I walk in, and I didn't remember her first name. I just knew her, right, because it's been years. Her and my wife worked together. And I go, hey, how you doing? And my wife said, Matt, that's Bonnie. You remember her? And she goes, just call me Betty Crocker. And they made tons of cookies all day, and I didn't eat them. And then she commented the next day, what, you didn't like the cookies? You can't, I mean, so I'm throwing it out, guys, because it's very challenging. It's very difficult to be able to change what you do, especially if you're around friends and family that kind of know your habits and what goes on in your life. And, you know they like this, they know they like that. So please pay attention. The most difficult part of your daily routine is replanning. Now, my little sister had a great diet. And whenever we went to a wedding one time, it was a banquet, or not banquet, what do they call it, where you go up to the get your food buffet. So she's in front of me, I'm behind her. And as she would walk up, she would bite into something and say, not worth the calories, and put it on my plate. Okay? But once again, it showed me she was paying attention. And she dropped 50 pounds and she kept it off. Because that's what you'll find too, is once you get control of your mind and you're able to do it, you know stay away from it. As you see, I haven't got there yet. But I did pretty good. I stayed away from pasta for like 6 weeks, and it was remarkable. All right, guys, I want to leave you with one thing with the cholesterol. Life-changing. And I put that just like the talk. Good and bad. If you do the things we talked about, you're going to have a life-changing experience. You will definitely feel different, and you'll remember this talk forever. And if you don't pay attention, those of you who are my patients, I'm going to see you on the hill. And we know no one likes the hill. So this is a stay away from the hill talk, right? Because seriously, guys, stress and not paying attention, you know what you're eating. Please, that's all I ask. Know what you're putting in your mouth, because that's when you run into the biggest problem, is that you don't pay attention. You know, it's like, did I really eat that bag of potato chips? Or, wow, did I really eat all those M&Ms? Or did I really, whatever it happens to be, because most of the times we're just doing stuff. For me, I couldn't believe the Steeler game. And when it was all done, I did eat all the chicken wings. You know what I mean? But it was, come on, that game was a nail biter, right? So I didn't even pay attention, guys. All of a sudden, the bucket was gone. And that's my whole point to, it's difficult. This is a challenge to go through this. But please, I hope you understood, we need cholesterol. It's vitally important. It does wonderful things in our body, head to toe. Controls all the hormones, controls the regulation of the synapses in our body. It is vitally important for everything. Excess is where the problem lies. So please, pick one of these, and I hope it's a good life-changing experience for you. Any questions, guys? Sorry I was late, too. I'll blame Joanne. It was her fault. I was talking to her this morning. Yes?
What is too little cholesterol?
Too little would be when your cholesterol total in your blood falls in like 100, 105 range, because what happens then is your body is producing it at that 35 to 36 grams, but the fact that it is so low, it's not able to respond to the needs as rapidly. You want to keep it somewhere. I think most cardiologists like around 150. That's where they're happy with. And if you have a cholesterol at 150, generally your HDL is high and your LDL is low. And triglycerides similarly. So guide yourself through where you are now, see what the numbers are, talk it over with your doctor, and if you're at risk, try some of these things to get it down. Other questions, guys? Good. Wait, no, I can't tell you that joke. Go ahead.
I don't have a question.
Okay.
But I was going to give up desserts. But last night they
See how that, oh, and you know what's so bad is, you know as soon as you take the last bite of whatever you ate, you're saying, oh, that was stupid. And then, see, I have my daughters, they're picking on me. Like, Dad, take a picture where you're at right now. I can't. Why not? Dad, just take a picture. And so I right away put a cloth over what I'm eating, right? And they'll say, Dad, what's underneath that dish towel? Nothing. Show me. Come on, show me. So then I throw it in the oven, right? I just stick it in the oven, and then I send them a picture. So they're picking on me because they want me to be skinnier when I come down the aisle. I have my wife working on a super cummerbund instead. Good to see you guys. Have a good day.